Hi, Roy here on my channel Roy Reads Anything, which is about enjoying old books and other reading stuff. This video is about things I've read in the past week, so a kind of a roundup of books I've been looking at which all turned out to be in the sort of vintage paperback line, which is why I'm going to kick off with a shout out to Paperback Fanatic. Paperback Fanatic magazine. New issue just come out. This is issue 47. You can get it on Amazon, and if you're remotely interested in any of the sort of stuff I talk about, then I really recommend this mag, edited by Justin Marriott, because it's just packed with stuff, beautifully presented. So this issue you've got Deadly Dames and Sexy Sirens. Can't resist a piece like that. There's stuff about art. There's stuff about historical paperbacks about the Crusades. And the thing is, all the articles are lavishly illustrated with cover scans. So it's like just having the magazine. It's like going to the best bookshop ever and having a bit of a browse. Just so much stuff. There's some obscure occult detectives I didn't know about, so that's quite an achievement. On and on. I always find new things to discover in these or think about. So yeah, Conan the Barbarian pastiches, and Steve Mile doing a piece about the adult Western series Long Arm. One for Dr. Jenny when she's planning her next adult Western. Martial arts, and on it goes. I mean, I'm only just giving you the slightest hint of the content. Yeah, a massive piece about books with standing stones on the cover. So when I say there's lots of cover scans, I'm really meaning, well, it becomes a whole thing, isn't it? That standing stones in various genres appeared in mainly horror and supernatural, but sort of gothic.
My jaw has dropped.
So, Paperback Fanatic. Right, plug delivered. Yes, so what have I been reading? Well, carrying on with Peyton Place. Peyton Place, which I'm doing as a buddy read with MJ. And I'm about 2/3 of the way through. Probably would be finished by now, but I got distracted. But this book is wild. You can see why it was such a sensation and such a shocker when it first appeared. And obviously that was amplified by having movie adaptation and TV series, which I can only imagine were sanitized to the point of insanity, because the stuff that happens in here every few pages is unbelievable. So it's about a New England town, outwardly looks respectable, but then the stuff that's happening, there's the way Grace Metalious brings the place to life is great. So you really get a sense, by you could draw a map of it, and the narrative often follows a character, and then it's like they see another character, or they interact with another character, and then you're following them. So it's like you've got this sort of interesting kind of bird's eye view, really, that's kind of dipping into different sort of storylines. Crazy stuff. I was thinking, it's not a horror novel, but the way things like the woods and the lake are figured, it's a bit like you'd get in a horror novel. But another thing is how influential it was, partly through its adaptations as well. So I'm thinking things like the David Lynch of Blue Velvet or Twin Peaks, the suburban parts of Mad Men, even things like Desperate Housewives seem to kind of be drawing on this almost forgotten sort of source material. So, Peyton Place. I'm, where possible, reading it wearing the cosplay jacket as explained in previous video. Although now I know what the character Rodney Harrington is actually like, I think I might keep quiet about that. Just say I bought it for, you know, mod revival reasons. Yes, so Peyton Place is good, but I was, as I say, distracted by Stranger on the Shore. So Dr. Jenny there has picked up the clarinet and reminded us of the theme tune of what was a short-lived television serial on the BBC in 1961. So Stranger on the Shore, set in my hometown, Brighton. One reason I picked the book up, I kind of got this tangentially, it's related to a big thing I'm doing about BBC soap opera novelisations. This wasn't a soap, but there's a little link. But anyway, for another time. Loads of interesting things about it. It's as much an adaptation of the theme tune as it is of the story of the television show, which is why you get jazzman Acker Bilk on the front as well as a scene from the story. So and the theme tune actually features in the narrative, which I always think is a bit weird. So yes, the actual story is about a young French girl who comes to be an au pair in Brighton and stay with the family. And it went out at tea time, so it's kind of sometimes badged as a children's show, though I think everybody watched it, and there's only one channel anyway, so it was this sort of thing. But people, I posted a thing about it on a Brighton Past Facebook group, and it like went wild with reminiscences. But another interesting thing is the show doesn't seem to exist. So although there are allegedly a couple of episodes that aren't lost because the BBC used to wipe the tapes, none of us can find out where you can actually see them. So was a TV show. People remember it in their heads. You can listen to the music. You can read this book, except there's no copies around. But that's, it only exists in the novelisation. So as part of the ongoing, are novelisations trashy debate, well, one thing they might do is preserve the story where the actual thing disappears. Because it used to be like, a movie's come and gone, you can't see that movie again. Get the book, and you can see it again when it comes back, or maybe it'll be on the television in 5 years' time. Meanwhile, you've got books to read. When the actual thing disappears, it's different. So, really loved this. Read it at one sitting. Stranger on the Shore, published by Icon Books. It's written by Sheila Hodgson. She went on to do some interesting stuff with supernatural writing, adapting Algernon Blackwood, finishing some unfinished M.R. James stories. So there you go. Stranger on the Shore. Then thinking, well, I want to talk to you guys about something. Two things didn't seem quite right, so here's a third thing. So I picked from my shelves the novelisation of Smashing Time. So Smashing Time movie came out 67, probably actually 1968 before people were seeing it, and that's when the novelisation came out. So it's a satire of swinging London, about two young women who travel from their northern town to the bright lights of London. One of them wants to, assumes that she'll go to Carnaby Street and immediately be famous, and that's the Lynn Redgrave character Yvonne, and then Brenda, played by the amazing Rita Tushingham, is the more sensible one. And they have all sorts of adventures, and it's a great film. You can see the whole film on YouTube. I'll put a link down below. As a novelisation, well, it's a lovely object. I could wish they'd used the film poster psychedelic image as well as these stills, but I enjoyed it. It's great. I think it must be difficult adapting a movie that has a lot of physical comedy and visual like slapstick stuff. There are not one, not two, but three food fights in the story, for instance, and a lot of it's like frenetic, so John Burke's job was partly to sort of bring that to life, which he does in quite a nice kind of ironic way. The original script was by George Melly. I can imagine the script was pretty good. You've got to wonder, there's some things that seem to be in the book aren't in the film, and novelizations are often working from scripts before the film's even been finished. So there's like guardian angels, who George Melly could have intended them to actually be filmed so you'd actually see them, but in this it just seems like a sort of literary device. Yes, I think for people who love the film, this is a great thing to have. I'll put a separate link to the song. There's a brilliant pop song in the film as well, where Yvonne gets turned into a sort of manufactured pop star overnight. So, but this John Burke, super novelizer. So he's novelized all sorts of stuff, starting with John Osborne's play The Entertainer in 1960. He did the novelization of Hard Day's Night, the Beatles movie, and he's basically novelized all sorts of stuff, including Hammer horror movies and some TV shows like The Bill, for instance. And his own stuff's interesting too. Another one whose own writing veers into supernatural areas. He's got an occult detective called Dr. Alex Crispian. So smashing time. What else was I going to say? That it made me think, this is really early on. It's the blurb. Sorry, babbling here. It's the hippiest, happiest rave of the year. Two psyche-delicious, delirious, delectable chicks from Slag Heap come to glue their crazy peepers on swinging London. They dig, they flip at the kooky birds, mini mods and dishy boys. So it's an adaptation of a film that was also itself was satirising what you could call the counterculture. And I think one way that British mainstream society deals with the counterculture, which had its kind of threatening aspect, there's drugs, there's free love, there's end of society as we know it, is turn it into tea time entertainment, absorb it into sort of humour, and I think that happens quite quickly, given that this was the Summer of Love had barely even finished, and then you get things like this. So, and it becomes, eventually it becomes nostalgia, and the participants become sort of national treasures. Anyway, yes, so smashing time. I did indeed have a smashing time. Next week will be Garb August, so August will finally have arrived, and this is the BookTube event. That's a reading event, reading trashy literature, as in pure entertaining, never going to be ranked in any sort of literary way, and sort of offers you very clear types of results. So the first week has prompts. You don't have to follow the prompts, but I will. And category romance and men's adventure. So Sicilian Spring and Sicilian Slaughter. The category romance is a Mills and Boon book, one of their Euromances. And The Men's Adventure is an executioner novel in the long-running Vigilante series. Sicilian Slaughter, Sicilian Spring. Mathematically minded people will see those two titles and think, yes, well, if you eliminated the duplicate terms, you would be left with Spring Slaughter. Is there a book called Spring Slaughter? Yes, there is. It's number 5 in the Bell Witch series, so possibly Spring Slaughter as well. I don't think there's a book that's just called Sicilian. That could be good though.
Be good,
yeah, the
yeah.
Sicilian. Anyway, yes, so that'll be next the bulk of next week's reading. Plus, I'll have to finish Peyton Place, the world's most shocking book ever.
What happens that's so shocking?
So just to finish by giving you a sentence from a random, not that one, random sentence from a sword and sorcery book is my way of finishing these. So this gives you something as a sort of like a fortune cookie, random text to enter the flow of things. Even as the hopelessness of her predicament became obvious, the Wraith Rat cackled with glee. Okay, good. Back soon with something else.